By the time I was 6, I had acquired the nickname Ebenezer Scrooge. Really. And that was because I had amassed $300 in my sock drawer, which is a lot of money for a kid in the 90s, right? And sometimes when I think back to that time of my life, I think about how if I had taken that $300 and invested it using that S&P 500's 10% average rate of return, I'd have roughly $90,000 by the time I was 70, which is a really incredibly powerful number. Ebenezer Scrooge version of me had no idea about the power of money. A young adult version of me had to do a lot of work and to figure out and put all that together. But what if I didn't have to do that much work to know this? So I'm going to direct your attention for a second to those cards, and maybe you've already looked at them. But there's a card in there that's Signum City, and there's 4 questions on it. But the first 3 questions are really basic core financial literacy concepts. So those exact 3 questions have been asked by US researchers to college students for over 50 years, and it's become basically a litmus test for the financial literacy of every generation. So what if I told you in 2016, we asked those questions to college students, and 72% of them failed to answer all 3 correctly. I think it's abysmal, and it's shocking, and honestly, I think it says something about the fact that we are doing a disservice to this generation, not setting them up to be successful with their money. So financial institutions are spending a lot of money in trying to understand Gen Y and Gen Z and how they think about money. And one of the things that's coming out of that is that Gen Z is really self-aware. And they know they don't know money, but they know that they need to know, right? And so one of my favorite reports is that Gen Z took a financial literacy course, they found it extremely valuable, and then 60% said they would take it again, which is crazy. I think those are really high numbers. So we know that literacy is low, but the demand is high. We also know that they're digital natives, they're entrepreneurial and tech savvy, they're really hard to reach, and they're really hard to get that message across to them because they're incredibly savvy. And in this target demographic that I'm going after, it's actually a cross-section of Gen Z and Gen Y, and they're between 13 and 24. And they are 65 million people in that population. 95% of them have smartphones, and they're spending hours on their smartphone. So how are we gonna reach them? Our solution is the gamification of the stock market. So we're giving them fake Signum cash. They're trading, buying, and selling stocks on companies that they would find in the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange, and they're learning how to build a portfolio. From there, we're placing them in tournaments. And there's personal closed tournaments that they're playing with their friends, and then there's branded sponsored tournaments, and then the kids are playing for gift cards. It's really similar to like the fantasy sports leagues stuff, same idea, we're pulling that in. And then in Level Up, they're reading texts, watching videos, looking at graphics, passing quizzes, so then they can get money to put back into their portfolio. We started betas when we started Sputnik, and we've acquired 1,000 beta testers since then. They're spending about 10 minutes on the app when they're on the platform. And we have gotten them organically, but when we have paid for them to test out messaging, it's been on average a $2 CAC, which we're pretty proud of. We've been in 2 classrooms so far, and we're hoping that we can replicate the programs and then we can spread it across the US. These are some of my favorite user testimonials, and they basically hit on the fact that they love the financial literacy concept, and then they also love this like competitive tournament gaming aspect of it. So competitive landscape. There's already stock market games out there, but nobody's doing all 3 of these, right? They might be paper trading, but they haven't completely gamified it to where you're like earning badges and it's playful and it's colorful. Financial literacy, hardly anybody has that component in the game. And then real prizes. There's only a few out there who are offering real prizes as well. And nobody's doing all 3, but Signum City is delivering that. Our business model is simple. We're using sponsored tournaments to talk to brands who are desperate to get in front of this demographic, right? There's, whether you're a lifestyle brand or a banking institution, you are desperate to talk to these people and get your brand in front of them. So we're talking to them, it's a revenue model of 50-50, 50% goes into gift cards, 50 goes back into the business. Long term, we can monetize the data, and short term, we can do on-platform advertising and premium features where they can add more tournaments that they want, skins, boosts, short selling, all sorts of things. The team is me. I'm Lauren Winfield. I've been running small businesses for about 8 years, doing operations and marketing. Ansel and Jean are Gen Z themselves, and they've worked in previous startups, and they know how to talk to this generation, and they're really great at messaging with them and talking with them. I'm Lauren Winfield, and I am gamifying the stock market to illuminate the power of money. Thank you, guys.